All right, so I've got two virtual machines. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
I don't know why this thing won't come up now. The virtual machine bar. I need to see which virtual machine I'm on. There it is. So I'm on the runner. They're basically identical. I just cloned it, right? So I got LabVIEW installed. I got VI Package Manager installed, and I installed like the GCLI and a couple other common things. So typically,
can I see just what's installed through? Do you do it all through VI Package Manager?
Yeah, sure.
Can I just see the list?
Yeah, basically it's GCLI, VIPM API, Karaya CLI, like a bunch of like CLI tools.
Okay.
And I like having them installed on both, so I figure it's easier to install it once than copy it and install them both. So typically on a project, what I do is I will create the dev machine first, and I will install all the drivers, like all the third-party drivers and everything, and get everything where I want it, and then I just clone it, and that becomes the runner. Because otherwise, like, especially some of those things take a while to install, like, it just takes forever, especially like DACMX or some crap, right? Because DACMX is like forever if you grab everything. And it's actually good that we're doing this now instead of earlier, because it's probably going to take longer than half an hour. So if you run out of time and have to go or whatever, just let me know. I'm free for at least the next hour. So.
Okay.
And I don't know why my licensing for this did not carry over. I don't know. Probably because I installed the upgraded version. I probably have to like re-enter the.
Yeah, every time you apply an upgrade or something, you have to apply your license.
Cool. Well, we're not going to do the VIPM thing, so I'm not going to do that while we're recording, so nobody steals my key. Not that I really care.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can see what's installed. I don't even know what's installed. I didn't do it on this one, but I have VIPM Pro. So often what I'll do when I install a new version of LabVIEW is I just go in and I find everything that's installed, save it to a VIPC file, and then copy that to the new computer with the new version of LabVIEW and just install everything. But honestly, I've gotten a lot of cruft in there. So it's probably a lot of things that I like tried out over the years. So anti-doc, anti-doc CLI, Karaya CLI, EasyXML, GCLI, all the CLI tools stuff and VI tester stuff. Is there a VI tester API? I don't know, or does that just come with the VI tester? Oops, wrong keyboard. I don't know if there is an API for that or not, or if it comes standard. I don't remember, but that's all right. ViTech, probably install that at some point. But anyway, okay. So, how familiar are you with the GitLab Ci thing? You saw my little speech the other day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much the extent for now.
Right, so the first step is to install. So you set up both machines. You definitely want to be able to log into both of them. So like I'm using VMware right now, my home, but I always set up like remote desktop because you're going to want to be able to get in and troubleshoot shit. All right, install GitLab Runner for Windows. All right, so instructions are pretty Git. Okay, so you've already got Git installed. I've already got that. So you create a folder. I don't think the name of the folder matters, but I just always install it there just because that's easy. So what is it? GitLab -runner. Cool. So create a folder, download the binary. None of this should take too long. GitLab Runner, downloads, cool.
Says you got to rename it too.
When I copied it, I copied all the installer. Although I think that's the web installer, so that's not really a big deal. All right, so now, and part of the reason for recording this is I'm not entirely sure. Like I've done this a couple times, but every time it's a little bit different. So I want to have. So I think you just copy this and rename it. And there is some warning somewhere about write permissions, so that you don't. Apparently, it's like a security issue. Because basically, you're like opening a reverse shell to your computer. So, all right. Oh, the other thing to note is if you're doing self-hosted, you might need an older version of GitLab Runner because the runner is in the version of the server have to match or there's some, they overlap a little bit, but all right, write permissions. All right, I'm not too worried about that at the moment because that's all my thing. So elevated command prompt. So PowerShell run as administrator. Yes. Cool. And for this next part, we might actually have to create a project first. So let me go. I think it helps if you have a project created in GitLab because you need like an API key to link it to a project. All right, create blank project. Private, we won't initialize it, put nothing in there. CI test, cool. SAS-LDS CI test, cool. All right, so we've got a new repository, cool. Let's see, registering runners, right? So basically, you got the software running on your runner, on the runner machine, has to know where the server is, and it has to have some kind of API key to authenticate. So that's what we're setting up. So you install it, obtain a token. Project specific runner. Okay, so I guess you can do it in other ways. But we'll start with project specific because usually when I do it's for a specific project. Setting CI/CD and expand the runner section. Once you have it registered for one project on your GitLab server, you can move it to other ones. It's pretty easy. But you go to CI/CD, runners. Here are the runners I already have, so I can enable them for this project. So you can see it's pretty easy around. But I'm going to install GitLab Runner and set up a specific runner. Where do I get the token? Oh, in this registration token. Okay, there's the registration token. Copied it. Cool. All right, so now I've got the registration token. And so I got the token requirements, Docker, I don't need Docker, Linux, Windows, /GitLab runner.exe/register. Cool. And we are as an administrator. Cool.
You're in the wrong directory.
Yes. cdc:/. I don't know. You only get it PowerShell. I kind of hate it.
I don't use it too often, but I mean, familiar enough with it, I guess.
Yeah, you prefer PowerShell or Bash?
I mean, I haven't used Bash much at all either. Okay. I guess PowerShell.
I'm gonna. Oh, all right. Well, I'm gonna show you how to set up for Git Bash because that's what I do. So, I gotta go back and copy the token because I copied that afterwards. Description for the runner, LV20 X32. Actually, this is 21, right?
Yeah.
X32. That's what it's called. So tags. Usually you can do tags however you want, but basically the tag is when you specify a job in a project. In your CI file, you give it a tag and it finds a machine that matches that tag to run it. So typically I'll tag it with like LV21 32-bit. Or if you put test stand on, you can give it a test stand tag or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes sense to tag it with like the version of LabVIEW or whatever, the thing that you're actually going to be using it with.
Yeah, whatever software you have on it is usually the way I tag it. Like if I know it has some specific driver on it, I might tag it as like RT or DAC-MX. Yeah. Cool. Now you got to pick an executor. Almost always you want shell. There are some other ones. You use VirtualBox. If you do VirtualBox, supposedly there's a way to set it up that will spawn a new VirtualBox machine to run every job. So that's pretty cool. And apparently you can do custom ones to do VMware, but I haven't found one that actually works. So we're gonna do shell. Cool. All right, registered successfully. Cool. And I think we can skip the next step, but we shall see. So you register it. That's the registration. For the runner executor. All right, cool. All right, so you registered it, install it as a service, and start it. You want to run it as a user account, but we don't actually want to run it as a service. I think we can skip all of this. I think you can just skip this and not run it as a service. And I think, all right, so we've got it. Now I think we just go to this. Okay, so now if you were to run this as a service, so if you wanted to use PowerShell and you ran these commands, if you did the top one, it would just start running in the background as like some system user, and it would be done. And you're in your YML file, it would default to PowerShell, and so there's like a script section that are like the CLI commands. They would all be PowerShell commands, and it should just work right out of the box if you stop there. If you run it, but the problem with running it under a system account is that you can't troubleshoot it, and it has different permissions and different environment variables. That's a pain in the ass. So you want to run it as a user account, but you don't actually want to run it. I don't run it as a service. I just run it on startup. So I have I do like a scheduled tasks thing, and it runs it on startup. So every time I log in to this machine, and eventually I set up the machine to just auto log in. So all I have to do is boot it, and it skips the Windows prompt and goes in. And when it starts up, the thing starts, and it's all good. And if it ever goes down, the power comes back on, it goes right back up, and it's fine. Does that all make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So I wrote a couple articles on how to set this up in, why is this not working? My computer's freeze, there we go. And the real reason I write my blog is so that I remember all this shit.
People say the same thing.
Yeah.
An extra W in there still.
Oh. Wow, fat fingering everything today. And also it helps to answer people's questions. If people ask you the same question over and over again, you're just like, here's a blog post. All right.
Yeah.
And I hate that annoying shit, but I'm the one who put it there. So there we go. Troubleshooting GitLab Ci. Hold on, there should be another one. Another GitLab Ci one. GitLab Ci and Git Bash. This is the first one. All right, why Git Bash? Blah blah blah. All right, how to make it work? Add a bash.command file into your user directory with the following commands. Cool. So c:\users sas new text file. What am I supposed to call this? Bash.command. Bash.cmd. And I would never remember this if I didn't write this down. So, oops, don't want to run that. Want to edit it. Edit it. Copy. We'll do a test in a minute to make sure all this works. Cool. Done. All right. And then we need to set up start paths are set up correctly. Get fig.toml file for your GitLab runner. Cool. Now maybe I have to start to actually have that show up. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Cool. Edit. Runners name equals that. That's fine. URL token executor shell. Shell. Right. So we don't want that. Bash. And then I need a builds directory. Builds Executor. I think the issue is these things have to be formatted as Linux paths, otherwise it doesn't like it. So
Do the paths have to exist beforehand, or will it create them on the fly?
that is a good question. I know we're gonna find out. If it throws up, then obviously it means that we need to put them. I don't remember actually having to create them before. And obviously, if you want to just use PowerShell, you can skip these couple steps, and that's all fine. Save. Oh, I need a slash at the end of each of these. I need to add that just to make sure that it's all kosher. Cool. Okay. Awesome. You gotta add GCLI to the path. That's another. Copy. So I usually put this in my bash RC file. So if you go to, why is my git bash not showing up in the, why is the Windows? Oh, there should be an option there to open that. I don't know. I'll have to reinstall that and see what's happening. But all right, I think I already have this line in my bash RC, but we'll see. So for bash, this is just like sets up the environment when you start. You can do like aliases and stuff, but I just need to know, is there a line? Export path. There we go. So I got GCLI in my path already. So that means every time git bash starts, it'll make sure that's in the path. Because by default, I don't think it is. All right, cool. And to test it, we just do that. Okay, cool. Let's see. Git bash. Have you used GCLI much? Do you know like what?
No, I have not.
Ah, okay. Well, so you type in GCLI and there's a echo built into it. And it should echo back hello world. And GCLI is not found, but I installed GCLI on this before I. Did I not install GCLI? Program files, GCLI. Was that not in the list of, I thought when I
thought it was.
All right, maybe I need to reinstall it. I wonder if it shows up in PowerShell. Not showing up there. So maybe it didn't install it. Because there are two parts. There's like a Windows. So the way GCLI works, there's like a Windows part that's like written in C# or something, and that's what launches LabVIEW, and then it like uses TCP/IP to like communicate with it, which is how you send data back to like right out to the command line. It's all wrapped up on the LabVIEW site. It's all wrapped up in like classes, so you don't have to worry about it. But I swear I had GCLI installed. Well, good thing we caught that because no sense in going any further. That's why it's good to test things. While we're waiting for that, though, let me open another window because I need the other article now. This has one important thing. Copy. So I'm going to create a batch file here while we're waiting for that. I just call this gr.bat. And this is going to launch the GitLab Runner when it comes time to launch it. And all this is doing is setting it up so that when it runs, you can actually see the screen, because otherwise it'll still run. You just won't be able to see the windows pop up, which is actually part of what helps you troubleshoot. So that's, and honestly, don't ask me how I figured all this out other than lots and lots of Googling and Stack Overflow. There's no, if I had to tell you how to do it, I would have no clue. GCLI. So
Yeah, there it is.
uninstall and reinstall. I'll just reinstall it, I guess. Oh, we can go back to here and see that our runner showed up because we did register it. So let's see. Available runners. Do we have to Yep. It shows, yes, there's the runner. LV21X32. Oh, I guess I didn't need the underscore in there. Huh. I can edit that tag. So you can edit the tags from here too. So I'm going to remove that tag just to be consistent. Cool. All right. Let's go back here. So that's done. Now I'm going to install GCLI by itself. Oh, there's the GCLI 62-bit. So that should install all that. You know, maybe that's a bug in LabVIEW or in VIPM because I installed it with a bunch of other stuff at the same time. And I don't remember it actually popping up and asking me about that.
Is it
So maybe that's a bug.
like do one of those accept all? Is that maybe?
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I don't remember the separate Windows installer thing coming up. But I do remember that like the first time I installed it because cool. And now if we go to GCLI, cool. So that's there.
Yeah, there it is.
And now if I type in GCLI here, okay, well, maybe it's not on the path there, but here it's on the path. So let's see what happens here. No launch VI supplied. Perfect. Cool. So if we type echo -- and then we need a space because otherwise that doesn't work. Don't ask me why. The things you learn when you learn bash that you wish you never had to learn. And you can see it's printed hello world to the screen. And it leaves it open so you can see what's going on. So this behind the scenes establishes a TCP IP connection. Here we're pulling off the parameters. It's grabbing the end of it and telling it to write it back out. That's it. And then it closes the connection. So it's easy to write your own stuff. And I can show you some stuff in a minute. Cool. All right. So we got that working. Now the trick is, let's see if I run this batch file, what happens. Running. Cool. All right. So we just let that run. And now we'll create a new, why is git bash not, I gotta research that and see what the heck happened to that. Desktop, there we go, cool. So desktop, okay, cool. Maker, test project, CD space test project. Wow, that takes a long time to. Get in it. Cool, we made a new repository. Cool. Let's see. We'll have to make a commit first. So let's create a vi.gitlab-ci. I think that's the name of the file. All right, so you have to come up with a name for your job. So we'll just call this test. And then under test, we have to add tags. Can't remember if that's capitalized or not. I guess we'll find out. tags, and then the name of your tag, LV21X32, right? I think that was a capital L. Right, so that's the runner tag. If you don't leave that out, it'll just run it on some generic machine on their servers, and that's not what you want. Script. And actually, I take that back. I think this is all lowercase. The tags is lowercase too. I'm doing this from memory, so this might not be. Oh, shit. Hold on a sec. Let me look something up because I just got this together for a presentation, so I might as well take advantage of that. Let's see. Nextcloud, employee presentations, laughs. I could just copy it off of something else too. Where's the file I had here? Hello world tags. Yep, lowercase. I don't need quotes around that. And okay, cool. No quotes around any of that. Cool. So I don't need quotes. And that's all we need.
Do you have it do that echo at the in there?
Yep, I'm gonna have it do the echo. So basically what's gonna happen
Just-
is when I push this to the server, it's gonna echo out hello world. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah.
Ooh,
This is just for, but you put that script there just to test it, basically?
Yep.
Like
just to
okay.
test it. Yep. Yeah, and then you can replace that GCLI with
Okay.
spit out whatever you want.
Other
You have
yeah.
to do that in a
Okay.
minute. But yeah, this is just basically testing to make sure that when I push it, the runner actually picks up the job and runs it and spits everything out.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, the first thing there is just the name of the job. And you could have stages and stuff, but basically for basic stuff, you just need a job name to be whatever you want. Tell it what tag to run it on and give it a script. And you
So
can
this is going to do it every time you push. It's going to do this?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, if you
on every branch?
Yes, by default on every branch, you can restrict what branches it runs on. So there's a whole help thing on gitlab.com for what's the YAML file, and it'll tell you how to do all that. And if you have issues, I can walk you through some of that. Yeah, by default, it does it on every branch. Now, if you build up like say a dozen commits on your machine and you push them all at once, it only runs the CI on the latest one.
Okay.
It doesn't bother running it on all of them. It just cares about the latest one. All right. We already saved that. Oops. All right, cool. So now we need to, I think they give you instructions here. I think what we need to do is just get add a remote and push it, but let's CI test. Oops. So we want this CI test project. All right, global setup, create new repository, push an existing folder, pushing existing Git repository. All right, get remote. We don't need to do that. We can just add an origin. We can just copy those couple commands and that should do what we need it to do. That's the window we want. Paste. So we're adding an origin and then we're pushing to it. Oh, because I didn't make a commit yet. Ha.
Yeah.
Okay, before you do any of that, you gotta add.
You got before you can push. Right?
Git commit -am. Actually, I can't even do that because we gotta add it, right? Because we haven't added the file yet. Add all.
I don't really use Git from the command line at all. I'm done everything to do like other.
Yeah, you use source tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's faster to do it here, but okay, so I just pushed, or I just made our initial commit. Now I got to push it, right? So we'll go back up to origin all. Cool. All right, awesome. Now let's go to our project and go here. And you'll see our CI job is running. And our test. You might not see it here, but if you open up LabVIEW, if you do something that opens up LabVIEW, it will actually show you LabVIEW. See there, see the LabVIEW echo popped up? That's it. And it echoed hello world.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
now we've got CI. So every time you push, you could do that.
Yeah. So now that pipeline is open, or that, yeah.
Yeah. So does that all make sense? Questions?
Yeah. So yeah, all this is just establishing the connection and stuff, getting the runner up so that it's.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And then like to create a new VI, like you can basically take this as a starting point and then,
Yeah.
and then just run VI analyzer. You can run unit tests, you can run a build. So like the first step is figuring out how to call stuff from the command line, which is the GCLI tool, and figuring that out. Once you get that, and once you got the connection going, then it's easy.
So when
And
you do
like-
your automated builds, do you typically use like, do you use the application builder API inside of a VI to do that stuff, or do you call it directly using GCLI, or what do you typically do?
So honestly, mine's not that complicated so far. For simple things, I literally have a folder. Like the simplest thing that works is I just have a folder inside my project called GCLI, and in there I have a test VI and a build VI, and they do this, and the paths are hard coded, and it's just hard coded to build my Xe or whatever for that project.
Okay, but it's written in LabVIEW.
Headline things,
just-
yeah, yeah. So
And your script
typically
just calls
I do
those
that.
VIs.
Yeah. And then what I do, so one thing I do is I have like one stage that is like I call it my CI stage, and it's like test and build. And it's a shell script that's called like ci.sh that does everything. And then I can just run it locally. So like instead of having, like if I wanted to run this locally, instead of having to remember to type GCLI dash blah, 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 I just type in ci.sh, boom, hit enter, and it runs. And it does some timing stuff too. I can show you. You want to see some of that? I think I could show you some of this stuff. It's for a customer, but I don't think they'll care that much. This is not showing anything proprietary. It'll take a second. I got to boot up the machine. But yeah, I can show you what that looks like. And it's probably overly complicated because I do some fancy stuff. So like one thing I do that's useful is like inside the GCLI VI, inside the VI that does the testing, I take a timestamp when it starts and one when it ends, and I pass it out. Right. But I also do that in the script as well, because I want to know how long it takes for LabVIEW to load and all that. Right. So if I do it from Bash, I set I timestamp before I even try to call LabVIEW, and then it runs and then it's done. And I do like the time of the overall thing, so I know. Because some of it, like the idea is to get rapid feedback. So if one step's taking forever, then I'm like, okay, I got to figure that out.
Yeah.
And having those timestamps lets me know which one's taking forever. And then either I drop it or I figure out how to make it faster. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll try to have I'll set up 2 CI jobs. So I'll have one that just calls the stuff that runs really quickly. And then I'll have an extended one that does all the extended stuff that takes forever. And so then I can check in GitLab and see, okay, well, the quick one passed. That's good. I know I probably didn't break anything, so I can go keep on working. And if the other one breaks, then you get an email. So that's the other thing. If the CI thing breaks, you get an email back. Sorry if I'm vomiting all over you with information. I figure we're recording this, so
yeah,
that's gotta help. But yeah, there are a few other little tricks. So the one thing that I didn't like about PowerShell is getting the exit code right is a pain in the butt. And you have to get the exit code right, because what you want is your script or shell or GCLI or whatever. In GCLI, you can set the exit code. What you want is you want it to exit with 0, and that tells the server that everything's good. And if you exit with any other number, then that means there's an error or a problem somewhere and it fails and sends you an email. But in PowerShell, I was really struggling to figure out how to pass that back out, because for whatever reason, it just not one of the steps would fail, but everything would keep going and it wouldn't pass out. It would, the thing would think it was fine. And I was like, yeah, that's not what I want.
I see.
So yeah, this is taking a while to load, probably because I have Zoom and multiple virtual machines running. Maybe I can shut down this one. Oops, not that one. If I shut down this 32-bit dev machine, I don't need that. Yeah, I just bought a huge server, so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if that was a smart idea or not, but it was on sale.
So you typically have your runners like in a VM on a separate server or something, your own server, or
Yeah, well, right now I have this like server slash workstation. It's got like a Xeon and 64 gigs of RAM, but it's kind of an older Xeon, so it's starting to slow down when I run a bunch of stuff. So I literally bought a rack mount server. So I don't know. That may be like way over my head and way overkill for what I need, but it'll do dual core Xeons and up to like a terabyte of RAM and like 8 hard drives. So
yeah.
I think that'll last for a while. Especially if I
Should.
buy newer processors, they should be good for like 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
And they'll probably start slowing down, but at some point I can just keep throwing more RAM at it. So we shall see. But yeah, the other thing people do too, some people run them in like AWS or something. I have not really looked at that. That might be cheaper than running your own server. I don't know. So yeah, all the runner needs is access to the internet. So if you're like behind a corporate firewall or whatever, and you have a runner that has that can point to gitlab.com, it'll run. So
and so how many do you typically you don't create a new runner for each project? You have one for the different versions of LabVIEW, or how? This is more just I guess personal preference, but
sorry, that must be an old one. Yeah, so you could do one for each version of LabVIEW. I do one for like each customer or each project typically. I mean, it depends. I'm not
I'm just curious, like
I have multiple projects
tips and like things that you found useful or not, just from experience.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I don't pretend to have it all figured out. That's no wonder that one's slow. Yeah, running the VMs, you want to run them on like an SSD or something. If you run them off of spinning drives, they run really slow. I'm sure you've already figured that
out. I don't really use spinning drives except for my NAS right now.
Yeah, I have a bunch of them in my NAS. Well, this server is set up to take like 3.5-inch spinning drives, so I'm wondering but if I put a bunch of them and I RAID them together, it should be pretty fast.
You think?
I don't know. It's either that or buy a bunch of SSDs and just buy adapters and RAID them all together. But SSDs are
I mean, a lot pricier, but
well, especially in like the larger sizes. Anything up to a terabyte's okay, but you get above a terabyte on SSDs, you're paying through the nose.
Even 2 is okay right now, but beyond that,
I want to say a terabyte one. The last time I bought one was $250, but it was an NVMe drive. So
yeah, I think they're less than 200 now, a terabyte. I don't know if you can still hear me, Sam. Your audio just passed through the staticky stuff, and I lost your video. Hello. Static.
Hey,
doing that static. Okay, there.
Yep. No, sorry. When I started that VM, it grabbed my microphone and my camera.
Nice.
Because I had them connected to it earlier. Let me share my screen again. All right. So yeah, let me. So I bought this little thing. If you want to learn Bash, the best way to do it is there's this wizard zines. It's this lady who makes these little like pamphlet things called bite-size Linux and bite-size Bash and bite-size command line. And they're amazing because it's like 20 pages, but it's all just the little tricks that you need to know. So it's like no fluff. Totally the best way to do it. It's like, I don't know, like 30 or 40 bucks to get all the little scenes, but like, because you can buy big, huge books, but then you get lost trying to figure it all out. But anyway, so let's see. This is the one. Cool. So here's the CI script. So here, I'll show you these two. I think I showed these the other day, but maybe not. All right, so here we go. Edit that with Vim. Cool. So here's this, and let's see what the GitLab Ci file looks like. Where is it? There it is. Cool. So the GitLab Ci. Right, so you can define stages. So you have a quick stage, extended, pre-release, release. So each job, then you can assign it to a stage, right? So this CI is assigned to the quick stage, runs on the prime test tag, runs this shell script, this artifacts. So generally when you run, so stages run in parallel and then jobs run within stage. So in a stage, you can have a bunch of jobs that run in parallel. And then when they all finish, then it moves on to the next stage. And any files you generate automatically, like if you run a build or something, it generates some log files or whatever, they automatically get carried on to the next stage. Okay. But if you make it an artifact, it will grab it and put it on the server.
Which server?
On the GitLab server. Yeah. So actually, here's a slide that I have from my presentation that I'll show you, because I'm going to show this in a couple days anyway. So here, you can't see that because it's off the screen. Oops, am I not signed in? Oops, I might have to try that again. There we go. So here's a job that I had that ran. And you'll see, so this is all GitLab stuff. I don't know what all that is exactly. Here's the executing step script stage of the job script. This is the script that I want, that I will put in for it to run. Okay. All this is just set up part on its side. So you can see it's doing stuff like fetching the new Git changes, removing some old stuff that's no longer needed, skipping the submodules, doing all that. So here it's running .ci or ./ci.sh. This is my shell script. Close lab view in case it's open. Clears the compiled object cache, clears the app builder cache, tells you how long it took, right? Evaluating the VIPC. So I have a VIPC file, and I can automatically apply it. Anti-doc is like a documentation tool. Yeah. And then it starts VI tester, it passes, tells you the reports, all's good. Here, the build failed, right? So to show you how useful this is, right? So the build failed. Okay. Well, I have build logs turned on and I have them set as artifacts. So you can see the anti-doc, the documentation outputs here and the build logs here. So I can just go to the build log and I can just go here and I can't immediately open it. It has to download it. Oops. Oops. Download artifacts archive. Okay. But I can open this up. I don't know why it doesn't let me open it since it's just text. But I can open this up, go into builds, right? So without actually opening the machine, and I can just search. If you go to find and you look for error, and it's square brackets, right? So I just figured out that this VI is the one that's broke, right? So that's pretty, right? So I got an email. So I checked something in. So say, you make a change to a type def, it doesn't propagate everywhere because you don't have everything open. You don't realize it. Yeah. Check it in, you push it, all the tests pass and you think everything's good. And then you get an email that says, hey, something's broken. And like 4 or 5 clicks, I can be here. I can see, oh, that's the VI that's broken. So it's very easy to go back into my repository, go open that VI, click the broken run arrow and say, oh yeah, I forgot to update the type def. Because I've actually had issues lately. I think they changed something with the way type defs propagate, because they don't automatically propagate now all the time. Sometimes it stops and asks you.
It stops and asks?
Yeah, it says, I can't update this. You have to go in and it might just be for enums, but I've also noticed in a few other cases, like it used to like the type def automatically propagate, but now sometimes it'll break stuff.
Oh, and you have to do the review and update thing?
The review and update thing, yeah, but that's new. That wasn't always like that.
It's been there for a couple versions, but yeah, it does it when it can't figure out for sure like which version or which value to
so maybe
coerce
I'm
to.
just doing like crazy stuff that I wasn't doing before, but I seem to run into that a lot. So
Is it a enum that's within a class private data or something?
Yeah, there is some of that. So yeah, I've been told not. I remember we had a discussion about not doing that at all or something, right?
I've run into weird issues with that. Seems like more kind of recently.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So, but back to our discussion. So artifacts, right? It grabs everything in these folders. This is key though. You want this like when always there, because if you don't do that, it only grabs them when it's successful.
which is not super helpful.
Which sometimes, like depending on what it is, like if you're like grabbing a built executable or something, okay, yeah, you probably only want it when it's successful. But if you've got like logs in there and stuff, or like your unit test report, like the unit test report isn't all that useful if everything passes, right? It's not interesting. So anyway, so that's that. And then I have like an extended job. And here I've got artifacts and grabbing the VI analyzer report. And here I have these release and upload jobs. This is something new. And it's actually pretty awesome. So I have it set up. So GitLab has, I'm sure Bitbucket has it too, this concept of like releases, right? Where you can tag stuff and you can associate like binaries and build stuff with it.
Yeah.
So this basically does all that. So basically, this actually runs on a Docker image. So it's image tells a Docker image, but rules if CI commit tag. So this only runs if there is a CI commit tag. So it only runs on tag versions. But basically what happens is on my side, I set everything up the way I want it. And I create a tag. So I tag it version 1.0 or whatever. And then I click build, and then I push it. And it runs through the normal jobs. And then it runs through these release jobs and upload jobs. And basically it takes the built material and zips it all up and throws it up on the server in a package. So it's like a package manager that just stores binaries. And so the upload thing stores them there. And then the release job takes that tag and turns it into a release by adding these links at the bottom. So it adds a link to the executable and it adds a link to the documentation.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and this upload job just basically zips up the builds folder, zips up the anti-doc output folder, and then uses curl to upload them to the project. So I got that from Felipe. What's his last name? Foz? No. Yeah.
I don't remember.
I know his last name, but yeah, the Brazilian guy who shows up at this stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I got all that from. So my next step on all this would be to do that and then also send a message to say, hey, send an email with a link. And I want to add something. There's this thing called WinSparkle, which it's a DLL that you add to your program and it will check a web server to see if there's a new version available. So I'm thinking I could have this update a web server that says, hey, there's a new version available. And then the next time they launch the program, it would automatically prompt them and say, do you want to update to the latest version? Because it just pings the web server and it looks at what version do you have and what version's on the web server. And if it sees a mismatch, it'll ask them and then it exits your program, downloads, installs it, and restarts it.
I tried to do like a hacky version of that just within LabVIEW, and I like when I was distributing stuff, I just I put it in say like Dropbox, a public folder, and then just have some checks when I started the application, like.
That would totally work too. Like if you have a naming format for it, you just see you could pull out, you could do like a regex or something to pull out the version number and say, is there a new version available? Great, go grab it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a very low tech way of doing it. And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always for simple. I mean, I think the wind sparkle thing's probably a little more polished, but
Hmm.
yeah, cool. I can show you the CI script too in a second. I was going to show you the wind sparkle thing is actually on a presentation on the forum. So let me see if I can find it. If my computer will cooperate. If I search for alarm wind sparkle, that should find it. But yeah, somebody did a presentation on a local user group, which is actually pretty cool because our local user groups like generally like it's okay, but like it's not like usually we're like dragging the bottom of the barrel to get presentations. Alarm group. It's an alarm group for sure. And it might be wind sparkles one word.
You know why the NI site, like, despite when you log in and they say remember me, it like never remembers you?
Could be some setting in your browser.
Does it remember you?
It does remember me. I'm pretty sure I had mine intentionally turned that it like throws stuff off. And LabVIEW installation distribution. This is it. Here, I'll send you a link in the chat.
It's still 4 years old, huh?
This? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right. How do I get to a place where I can get to the chat? Did you freeze?
No, I can hear you. I don't know.
All right. I think I've just got way too many things going on my computer. Like it is like, Xeon, but apparently it's not all that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I need to go at 4 if we're not wrapped up by then, just to wrap up some other stuff before I need to pick up my kid.
Cool. Yeah, just give me.
Seems like we're pretty close.
Let me
anyway.
open this up and we can open read only. Cool. So this is the bash script. So you guys.
Are you sharing? Is it on a different window or something? Or
your screen sharing is paused. Oh, did I intentionally pause it?
See, the last thing I see is the link.
Resume share. Cool.
There we go.
Share. Cool. Yeah, this is if you got to run at any point, just run. But yeah, so you got set to bin bash. This is like some error handling stuff. But this is just grabbing the date so I can, at the bottom, I can calculate how long it took. But basically, I've just got all these steps and they're all just GCLI. And you can specify the LabVIEW version in the timeout. So I just set those at the beginning as variables. And you could set like the project file. And you can get a lot fancier. Like GCLI has like some built-in stuff for passing command line parameters. So you could have something that like sets all those in your CI script and pass them in to yours. I've been hard coding them a lot. So like, yeah, I don't know. There's probably like, I'm slowly learning better ways of doing it, but this is key here. Actually, this die function is key. So basically so it calls GCLI, tells it to quit LabVIEW. Okay. This or the 2 bars means if it fails, call this function. So if it fails, then we call die with this message, exit LabVIEW with, and that's the number, the error number. And then this die function just says failed, outputs, exit LabVIEW failed with blah, blah, blah. And then I have it calling quit LabVIEW, but the real key is at the end, it says exit 1. So your script has to exit with 1. And if it doesn't, then everything just keeps going and it runs off the end of the script and it's done. It just exits with 0 and says everything's fine. But that's how so if you call it the GCLI thing directly, there's a way in the GCLI, it says like set exit code or something. So you have to set that to, if you don't set to anything, it just normally exits with 0, which means everything's fine. But you want your CI pipeline to stop when it's something fails typically, so that then you can go and investigate. Like sometimes I don't do that. Like if I'm doing like VI Analyzer, sometimes I'll run VI Analyzer tests and collect the reports and not actually fail the build. Because like it's almost impossible to get those to pass 100% of the time. So cool. Does that answer your questions?
So do you ever like from the LabVIEW project build anymore, or you always do it through this and collect?
I just pretty much always do it through this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was for a while, I was running it locally. Like I would just like make a couple changes, save everything, and then I would go to the command line and just type ./ci.sh and it would just run everything. Eventually that took too long. So then I just started using, I have like a Git hook that just runs my unit tests. And so I just do that. So every time I commit, it runs my unit tests. And that's like some trade-off. And then every so often I'll run the full script just to make sure I didn't break the build. I don't know. And I figure like if I'm pushing fairly regularly up to the server too, it's running it all in the background. So it'll let me know too.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I get a couple commits, I push a bad commit and I make 2 or 3 more commits before I find out, but it's generally pretty quick.
How often are you in a situation where like you're on site at a client and you don't have access to, like you can't do this for whatever reason, like no internet access or something like that? And you revert
well,
back
that's
to
kind of why you have the ci.sh as your as a script, right? So you can just run the whole thing locally. So so I haven't been on a customer site lately, particularly not in the past 2 years. But I've been trying to get away from it anyway. But if I was on a customer site, it would be very easy to just run that ci.sh locally. And I mean, my CI file is basically just calling that script. So it should be fairly similar. So yeah, that's part of the reason why I like having that script just as one script. So it's easy to run it locally if I can't get to the internet or whatever.
Okay.
Because otherwise you could break that out, right? And all the steps in that ci.sh, you could call those as individual lines in so that config.yml file, you can have multiple lines. So that script, I have like 1 dash in like the one command, but you could have another dash and another command. You could have 50 commands if you wanted.
Okay.
But it's where I don't know that there's a right answer. It's where do you want to have the complexity? Do you want to have that be simple and just call one script and then the script does everything, or do you want to have that do everything? If you have one script that does everything, then you can run it locally. It's a little less transparent as far as like if you look at the YML file, you can't tell what's going on. You got to go look in that script. But
all right, cool. Well,
that's how I do it. So hopefully that was useful. I know you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and if you can send me the recording, I think that would be super useful too. I can go back and.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I might just send it out to our whole group.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. Very good. Right. Awesome. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks for walking me through some of this stuff. Definitely.